Hey guys, welcome to another math lesson with HKM Math and Science. This video will be about equations, and the learning intention for today is to learn about equations and how to work with them in algebra. And by the end of this lesson, we should all be able to understand the difference between an equation and an expression, be able to determine if an equation is true or false, and finally be able to write an equation from a worded description. Let's just pause the video here and take a couple minutes to write these down. So let's just start off by going through a few key points and a few key definitions as well. So the first definition we really need to know is an expression. We've been through this one before, but we'll just recap on that. An expression is a collection of pronumerals, numbers, and operators. So pronumerals are the letters, numbers are numbers, and operators are stuff like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, without an equal sign. So notice in the example below, 2x plus 3, it doesn't have an equal sign, so this here would be an expression. An equation, on the other hand, is a mathematical statement stating that two expressions are equal, so it will have an equal sign like that. So an example here is 2x plus 3 equals 4y minus 2. Equations have a left-hand side and a right-hand side and an equal sign between them, just like here. Alright, so continuing on with equations. Equations can be true, like this one here, 2 plus 3 equals 5, that is a true equation. Or they can be false, 5 plus 2 equals 21, that one is false, because when you add 5 plus 7, it does not give you 21. If a pronumeral is included in an equation, the value of the pronumeral needs to be known before deciding if the equation is true. So an example, 3x equals 12 would be true if 4 is substituted for x. However, it will be false if we substituted 10 for x. Alright, so keeping those points in mind, let's have a go at some of these example questions. Let's start with A. Which of the following are equations? So we have A is an equation because there's an equal sign there. B, I'll just write E for equation. 7 plus 7 equals 18, that is also an equation, although it's not a true equation. It still is because of that equal sign. C is not an equation because it does not have an equal sign. D is also an equation, and E is not an equation. So the key thing we're looking for here is whether or not it has an equal sign. Alright, so now it's your turn. Pause the video here and have a go at these questions by yourself. Alright, so let's decide whether the following are equations or not. So A, 3 plus 7 is not an equation, doesn't have an equal sign. B is an equation. C is an equation. They both have equal signs there. D is not an equation, and E is an equation. Give yourself a tick for each one you got correct there. Alright, now this time we're given equations, we just need to determine whether they are true or false. So let's have a go at these ones. 7 plus 5, that does equal 12, so this one is true. I'll just write T for true. B, 5 plus 3 equals 2 times 4, that gives me 8 on the left and 8 on the right, so therefore it is true as well. Let's move on to C. 12 times 2 minus 1 equals 19, let's give that a go. Remember brackets first, so it'll be 12 times 3 equals 19. 36 does not equal 19, so C would in fact be false. Let's move on to question D now. 3 plus 9x equals 60 plus 6 if x equals 7. So we need to substitute that into x. So that will give us 3 plus 9 times 7 equals 60 plus 6. Remember, multiplication comes first, so that means we'll do 3 plus 63 equals 66, and that gives us 66 on both sides. So that means that one is true. Moving on to E, 10 plus B equals 3B plus 1 if B equals 4. So let's substitute 4 into B. 10 plus 4 equals 3 times 4 plus 1. That will give me 14 on this side. And 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, so that is false. And last one, F, let's see if I can squeeze it in at the bottom. 3 plus 2x equals 21 minus y if x equals 5. So that'll be 3 plus 2 times 5 equals 21 minus 8. There we go. I'll just continue my working out over here. So 3 plus 10 equals 21 minus 8. 13 equals 13 there. So that one will be true. Alright, so exactly the same deal for these questions here. We just need to find out whether they are true or false. So just pause the video here and have a go at these ones by yourself, and just unpause it when you want to go through them. Alright, question A, 4 plus 9 equals 15. 4 plus 9 does equal 15, so that one is in fact true. Moving on to B, 12 minus 3 is 9. 5 plus 4 is also 9, so that one is also in fact true. And let's quickly do C. 4 times 3 plus 2, that means that'll be 4 times 5 equals 10 plus 10. They both give me 20 on either side, so that one is also true. Now moving on to the next few questions, I have question D. 10 plus 2x equals 16 if x equals 6. I'm going to substitute 6 into x there, so it'll be 10 plus 2 times 6 equals 16. That'll give me 10 plus 8 equals 16. Sorry, I don't know where I got 8 from. It'll be 10 plus 12. 2 times 6 is 12. And that gives me 22 on the left hand side and 16 on the right hand side, so that one is false. Next one, question E. 16 minus a equals 7a if a equals 2. And just substitute that in. So 2 into a, so it would be 16 minus 2 equals 7 times 2. 16 minus 2 is 14 on the left and 14 on the right, so E would be true. Now moving on to F. 3a plus b equals 2b minus a if a equals 10 and b equals 2. So a equals 10, substitute that in. 3 times 10 plus b equals 2, so it'll be 3 times 10 plus 2 equals 2 times 2 minus a, which is 10. Let's give that a go. 3 times 10 is 30 plus 2 equals 4 minus 10. 32 equals negative 6. They don't equal each other, so that one is false. Alright, so give yourself a tick for each one you got correct there, and if you do have any questions, just ask one of your math teachers in class. Alright, now moving on to the last set of questions. This one refers to our last success criteria, in which we need to write an equation from a description. Alright, so let's give that a go. Write equations for each of the following scenarios. The sum of x and 5 is 22. So the sum just means addition, so that will be x plus 5 equals 22. Now next question, the number of cards in a deck is x. In 7 decks there are 91 cards. So the number of cards in a deck is x. In 7 decks there are 91 cards. So we'll have to multiply 7 and x to give us 91. Moving on to the next one, question C. Priya's age is currently j years. In 5 years time her age will equal 17. So her current age is j. In 5 years time, that means 5 years later, so we'll have to add 5 onto her age. She will be 17 years old. Last one, Corey earns $dollars per year. He spends a $12 on sport, 2/13 on food. The total amount Corey spends on sport and food is $15,000. Well, he spends quite a lot. So he spends he earns $dollars per year. So to get 1/12 of W, we'll have to multiply it by W. So 1/12 W plus, he spends 2/13 of his money on food. So that to get 2/13 of that, we'll have to do 2 over 13 times W as well. And that will be the total amount Corey spends on sport and food, which equals $15,000. Alright, so same deal with these questions. Just pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to do these by yourself, and just unpause them when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so first question, the product of 3 and a is 21. So that just means, product means multiply. Hopefully you guys do remember that. The product of 3 and a equals 21. Next one, the sum of p and q is 10. Remember, sum just means addition, so that's p plus q equals 10. Moving on to question C, Tristan's age is currently t years. 3 years ago he was 24. So 3 years ago, that means we need to subtract 3. So Tristan's age is currently t. So t minus 3 will give us his age 3 years ago, which was 24. And moving on to the last question D, John has A marbles and Michael has B marbles. When John combines half of his marble collection with a quarter of Michael's collection, they have 150 marbles. So John is A, got to remember that, and Michael is B. So John, we're getting half of John's marble collection, which would be half times John, which is A, plus, because we want to combine half of John's and a quarter of Michael's. Michael was B, and to get a quarter of Michael's collection will be 1/4 times B. And when you add those two together, you should get 150 marbles. So that's what it would look like. Alright, so once again, give yourself a tick for each one you got correct there. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys did learn something from that, and also hopefully you guys are now able to understand the difference between an equation and an expression. Also able to determine if an equation is true or false, and finally can write an equation from a description. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all back online.